What are they going to say now exactly is right, Jayson Tatum, as Banner 18 is finally here. The Celtics have done it. They have won the championship. Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, Kristaps Porziņģis, they have all come together, and Brad Stevens deserves all his flowers as the Celtics are your 2024 NBA champions and have finally brought that chip back to Boston after 16 long awaited years. We'll be breaking down the truth behind how the Celtics were able to be such a dominant team and bring a championship to this city in this episode of Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Velez. Before we dive in, before we get into all this news, if you guys do enjoy that content, make sure to hit that like button as we would greatly appreciate it here over on Celtics Digest. Before we dive in, before we get into this, let's get ready, baby. The Celtics, like I mentioned, won the NBA Finals last night in Game 5 for their home crowd, and they couldn't have done it without the help of Brad Stevens. So we're going to be diving in and looking at how this team truly came together from the beginning. Now, honestly, at the start of the season, we all know the Celtics were in a bit of a rude awakening after getting eliminated in Game 7 in disappointing fashion after being down 3-0 and bringing back the series versus the Miami Heat. Wyc Grousbeck, the owner, said there was needed to be changes, and the Celtics had to make sure and go out and do that. They went to trade Malcolm Brogdon, Danilo Gallinari, and Mike Muscala with a second-round pick for Kristaps Porziņģis, and the deal was basically done. But then Malcolm Brogdon came back with a little bit of an injury. Clippers did not want him, and the Celtics then had to move off of their heart and soul of the squad, Marcus Smart, which ultimately allowed the Celtics to get the 25 pick in the draft and a future first alongside Kristaps Porziņģis for trading away just Danilo Gallinari, Mike Muscala, and Marcus Smart, which in hindsight I was very disappointed in, but in retrospect was a game changer for the Boston Celtics here this season. When you look at what happened next, the Celtics then used that pick to draft Jordan Walsh, but not in the first round, ladies and gentlemen, in the second round. That is right. At pick 38, they selected Jordan Walsh, and as you guys know, the Celtics did have pick number 25 in the draft. Well, guess what? They liked Jordan Walsh at pick number 25, felt that he was good enough to go there, but he kept slipping. So why take Jordan Walsh at pick 25 if you know other teams aren't that high on him? Trade back. And that's what Brad Stevens did. The genius himself traded back multiple times to the second round to get to pick 38 and was allowed to take the guy that he wanted at pick 25 at 13 picks later in the second round and still getting more value to help out this team in the future, which we'll be diving down and breaking down in this video as well. Now, obviously, with this team now having a guy in Kristaps Porziņģis and Jordan Walsh, the Summer League team was pretty solid. They were fun. Jordan Walsh, Jay Scrubb, they looked exciting. And next for the Celtics team came ultimately gearing up for the championship and for this playoff run. Derrick White was set to be that starter, was set to be that big guy, the starting point guard role and takeover. And even though he was fantastic in this playoff run and regular season, the Celtics were aided due to the fact that the Milwaukee Bucks traded for Damian Lillard. That's right, that allowed Jrue Holiday to go to the Portland Trailblazers. And as you guys know, the Boston Celtics and Brad Stevens had to make that happen as they went out and got Jrue Holiday from Malcolm Brogdon, Robert Williams, a first round pick that is theirs in 2029, and the first round pick, future one, that they got in that Marcus Smart deal via the Golden State Warriors. So Brad Stevens, once again, using that ammo from that Porziņģis trade, using that ammo from getting rid of Marcus Smart to now cash in and get a guy in Jrue Holiday. Now, this Celtics team obviously looks a lot different. It has a lot of different stuff coming towards it. Jrue Holiday, a defensive point guard, working alongside the likes of Derrick White. Is it too much offense? Is it too much playmaking? Who knows? Is Peyton Pritchard going to be frustrated? That's a question we don't know going into the season. Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum, are they going to step up? With Robert Williams gone, Kristaps Porziņģis has an injury history. Who's going to be our backup big? Who's really going to step up? These are questions all Celtics fans, including myself, had around August and September leading up to the season. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. I was a bit worried losing in Robert Williams, losing in guys like Malcolm Brogdon, Grant Williams, Marcus Smart. We gave up 4 key pieces of our depth for 2 stars in Jrue Holiday and Kristaps Porziņģis. And if one of those guys goes down, if one of those guys doesn't pan out for the Boston Celtics or fit in seamlessly as much as we think they will, and ultimately doesn't route in a championship. But Brad Stevens The mastermind knew what he was doing and bringing in great talent like Kristaps Porziņģis, knowing he had injury history, knowing he just wanted to win a ring, regardless if he was a second star, third star, first star on any given night. Kristaps was doing whatever it was to win the championship, and he made sure that that happened with this squad. Jrue Holiday played a similar role, was so sacrificial on the offensive side of the ball, and allowing players like Derrick White, Kristaps Porziņģis, Jayson Tatum, and Jrue Holiday and Jaylen Brown to really step up and take over offensively. But man, was he that anchor on the defensive side, and when they needed him most in the playoffs, he came through and delivered. But as we all know, now the Celtics have made some trades before the beginning of the season. Now they hit the middle of the season, they're going to have to do some other things, some shakeups. They go out and they get Xavier Tillman from the Memphis Grizzlies, who once again was huge for Kristaps Porziņģis being out and a big utilization big as a good switchable guy. They traded 2 second-round picks and Lamar Stevens, who wasn't really filling in his role. And those second-round picks were acquired via the NBA draft when Brad Stevens traded back multiple times to acquire Jordan Walsh. When we look at this as well, we can also see the Celtics acquired Jaden Springer and a second round pick, but also had to give up another player in return, by giving up Delano Banton and getting a second-round pick in return. So basically giving up Delano Banton for Jaden Springer, but in a 3-team deal where they get second-round picks just to be the filler. But ultimately, Brad Stevens went in there in the offseason, made some big moves, bringing Porziņģis, bringing in Holiday, then went out there at the deadline, made some more switches, bringing in a guy like Jaden Springer who could be a better defensive guard than Delano Banton, and bringing in a guy in Xavier Tillman who could be a better switchable big compared to Lamar Stevens, who's a little bit similar to O'Shea Brissett at that smaller wing role. And what did the Boston Celtics do? They came through and they delivered. That's right. 64 wins on the year this season. A number 1 in the entire NBA. A 20-point lead in the Eastern Conference. Dominating in offense, dominating in defense, dominating in plus minus, and having one of the most historic seasons of the year. And what does it all do? What does it cap it off with? An NBA championship. That's right. Brad Stevens and the Boston Celtics have brought that banner 18 home. It's well deserved for everybody involved, including the Jays. Jayson Tatum at 26 years old has his first championship. Jaylen Brown heard all the discourse, all the hate, everything, everyone bashing on him. No left hand, overpaid, wasn't worth that $300 million contract, wasn't worth $50 million a year, and he can stamp that with an Eastern Conference Finals and an NBA Finals MVP in his left and his right hand to show you, while Jayson Tatum holds that ring with both. And look how happy Kristaps Porziņģis is in this photo. All smiles, all cheers, regardless if he's hurt, regardless if he has to fight through these injuries. He was willing to play, sacrifice his body, and do everything for this Boston Celtics team to win a championship, and he did that. All kudos goes to Brad Stevens as he put this team together. And let's not forget on Joe Mazzulla, as he deserves all the credit in the world as well. One of the youngest head coaches to win an NBA championship. One of the youngest head coaches to really get thrown into this gauntlet. And let's not be real. The whole Ime Udoka situation was absolutely crazy. No one expected a guy like Joe Mazzulla to take over and deliver this early. And Joe Mazzulla did exactly that. And is proving all of you guys wrong. Joe Mazzulla has been absolutely fantastic. He is a great head coach and deserves to get his recognition. I don't want to see any more hate on Joe Mazzulla into the next season. I don't want to see any more hate on the Jays. And I definitely don't want to see any more hate on this Boston Celtics team. Banner 18 is finally here. We have passed the Lakers once again, and the dynasty has just begun. It is not over yet, ladies and gentlemen. They are going to keep continuing with this team. They have this team locked up, and they are going to make some changes, maybe around the edges, but this team will still be back and still be a playoff contender next season. As you guys know, there will be no more live watch-alongs, but we will be having some weekly live streams starting next week. We'll get out a date. We'll get out a time. We'll get all of that out for you guys on the community page, so stay up to date. The videos are not going to be slowing down either. We have plenty of content to break down. This is our little reaction video. We have some news. If you guys don't know, some similar things. There's now Horford, little tidbit that we're going to be breaking down. Jeff Van Gundy is going to be leaving, and some draft news as well. So keep you guys, a little bit of a tease. If you guys want to make sure you stay up to date around everything revolving around the Celtics team, even though the offseason is here, we're going to have everything covered daily for you guys. You want to make sure you stay up to date. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Check out the other videos linked at the top. I really do appreciate all your guys' support, everybody being here. This is the first year of Celtics Digest, and we delivered a championship, and I couldn't thank everybody else that supported us along the way. I'm Bruce Veliz. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode here on Celtics Digest, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, and go Boston Celtics, baby!